Hey, amazing parents, and welcome back to my channel. I am Phinnah Chichi, and it's a phrase that many parents use very unintentionally. And it's a common phrase that is said probably in a moment of frustration or when a child hasn't obeyed a rule or hasn't done something that they were meant to do, and you tell them that this is my house and this is my rule. That phrase, as common as it is, as as rhymy as it is, do you know? I was just thinking about it a few days ago while I was walking back from the gym. And do you know that that word for children has a separation tone to it? Because in that word, we're saying, this is my house and this is my rules. Yeah. And I know that normally, yes, you pay for the house, you bought the house. That's no one's questioning that. Let me unpack it so that you can hear where I'm going to. In a child's mind, yeah, in a child's mind, that underdeveloped brain that hasn't finished fully developed, the more you tell them this is your house, that sense of belonging, there's a separation from it. The more they hear this is my house, this is my rule, as children, they'll comply. It's your house, it's your rules. But what tends to happen is as they get older and they leave the home, many times many parents are seeing today how many children are leaving those rules because let me describe to you the way that we should say it better, and then we'll bring it back home. Instead of this is my house and this is my rule, let's say this is our home and these are our values. There's a shift that happens when you change it from rules to values. There's that shift that happens. But also, when you're saying it's our home, in a child's mind, no matter where they then go, that belonging, they attach the value to their belonging and not attach the value to the house. Because what tends to happen now with young people is that a lot of young people are leaving home and leaving the values because those values were identified with that house and not with a sense of belonging. Now, if you're saying these values are our values in our home, then there's an attachment of belonging to it. So our children own the values. And when they own the values, that means even when they leave their home in young adulthood and adulthood, they still carry the values because the values are attached to their sense of belonging and not to the physical house. I say this because maybe in our days, that phrase, we understood it. We understood that, well, mom and dad are saying that this is their house, this is their rule, so we must comply to it. Maybe for us in our generation, Gen X or millennials, maybe we got it. But for Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, the more we say those kind of phrases, the more their sense of belonging separates from us. And again, we don't even realize it. They don't even realize it. It's just a conditioning in their mind, knowing that this house is separate from them. And a lot of times, because phrases like this have been used constantly, in their minds, they're looking for some other place to get a sense of belonging. So sometimes you see the attachment to friends and the attachment to even friends that are probably not even great friends, but it's because they're yearning for that sense of belonging. That sense of belonging is so vital for this generation that as parents who have come from other generations, we need to be mindful of these phrases. And I'm not saying this with judgment to any parent at all. No, not at all. Not at all. Because these are phrases that worked in our days. So there's the natural default to default back to it. There's the natural tendency to say it because it worked in our days. It doesn't work in today's parenting. And so I say this without judgment and without criticism. And all I'm saying is, if this is a phrase that we all have used, then there's a space for repair. There's a space to say, do you know what? Sorry, I didn't mean what I said. This is you're part of this home. Now, this home is not going to survive without you. You're part of this home. And jokingly invite them back in. Get them back in. Rephrase those sentences that you said. This is our home, and these are our values. I say this because a lot of times when we focus so much on just rules, and there's nothing wrong with rules, but it's the way the rules are phrased. There's nothing wrong with rules, but what I tend to see is that with rules, rules expire. Rules expire. As our children are getting older, my kids, my 19-year-old, I'm not going to be talking about rules that we were talking about when she was 8 or 9. Rules expire. But when you have collected these rules and rephrased these rules as they grow as values, it becomes they own it more. And so that now that they're in uni, now that they're working, those values are still something they're holding on to. And of course, they're adding on new values as they grow older. But these values that we've shared with them at home are things that they own and they embrace and they grow with. So rather than saying, this is my house and this is my rule, let's change it to this is our home. These are our values. It's so vital. I tell you, I'm lost for words when I hear young people separate themselves from their homes. Oh, my parents don't care. Oh, I don't feel I belong. And you're wondering, what has caused a child to not feel they belong? And you know what? Yeah, I love this generation. I love this generation because they're very expressive, and I love it because it's great for us to hear their thoughts. Do you know what I mean? And because when we hear their thoughts, then we can make adjustments. But without hearing those thoughts, we think that that phrase is just a common phrase, a funny phrase, a phrase of enforcement. But when you get to hear what young people say about some phrases they hear at home, like this phrase, then it makes us as parents look back to think, oops, it may have worked in our days, but in today's world, with these literal young people that we have, it's not working. It's not working. And so, a lot of times, when young people then leave the home and walk away from these values, it's not rebellion. They're not being disrespectful. Sometimes it's just logic. It's just logic because, in the child's mind, those rules were for that house, and that house wasn't really theirs. Do you see where I'm coming from? So let's be inclusive in our phrases. Let's be inclusive in our parenting comments that we make, those buzzwords that parents use all the time. Always check, is it inclusive? Because if it's not inclusive, your children are going to look for other places to be their belonging. They're going to look for places. And sometimes those places are not the right places. Those places don't share your values. And this is how sometimes some values in some homes, they disappear as children get older and get married and then go leave the home. But we don't want this. We are thriving parents. We are parents who hold on to relationship and growth as the model of our parenting. We grow with our children. So as our children start to make comments like this, I believe our children teach us. As they begin to make comments like this, it's important for us to start adapting, start adjusting our ways. So that those common words that seemed normal in the past, they don't seem normal now because our young people today are not interpreting this is my house, this is my rule as just an enforcement. They're interpreting it as separation, and we don't want that. So that's what I thought I would share with us today. And again, as I said, if you've said this before, and many of us have, repair is always, always, always out there. Repair, talk. I spoke out of frustration. I didn't mean what I said. You definitely belong here. Oh, what will we do without you in this house? You know what I mean? Give them that sense of belonging, because that sense of belonging is where trust is then strengthened a whole lot. Okay, so that's what I thought I would share with you. So, if you love this video, please press the like button, press subscribe to my video, share this video with other parents who you think have said, this is my house, this is my rule. And remember, this is a non-judgmental zone. We're not here to judge, we're here to grow. We're here to grow, and that's what it's all about. It's all about growing as parents. We're not perfect, and actually, we're not even aiming to be perfect. But what we're aiming for is to grow, is to adapt, is to adjust, is to evolve. That's what we're aiming for. So, again, I will see you next time, next week. And until then, remember, I am rooting for you all the way. We are all in this together, growing as our children are growing. You take care. God bless.